Now, just to familiarize you with the engine a little bit, here's the handle. And the handle, as you can see, it's important that you remember when you go to mount your engine onto your engine mount that these two nuts are sticking up so you don't get it upside down. These are the nuts to the handle. The nice thing about this handle is you can loosen these up and slide it back and forth and adjust it. When you get in the boat, if it's leaned over too far, you can loosen these up and move it over a little bit and tighten them back up and put it right in the position you want. So that's really a nice little feature. Another neat thing that you need to know about now is when you take the engine and you're simply going to mount it to this mount. Now I'm going to show you the mount over here, a blow up of it. This is for the big gear reduction right over here. Here's what it looks like. It's going to, right there, it's going to drop down right there, and then a bolt goes through it, and that'll be your transom mount. I'll show you in a minute. And that allows it to pivot on the transom mount and lift up and down when you have the handle installed. These are the 4 bolts. As you see, the engine is going to sit down into here, and they will match up. And he's got extra holes for different engines, but they will match up. They match right up on mine. Tighten up the bolts, and you're mounted. Okay, so that's all it is. Now I'm going to show you the transom where it lowers in the transom and you put it in the boat. Or you put it onto the boat, connect it onto the boat. So that would be right here. Here is your transom. You can actually grease that. This sits down inside it. Now that's mounted to the engine, and as you see, it slid down through, and then you just put a nut on it to keep that from popping out, and now you can lift and lower and pivot the engine. Easy enough. I got this all set up on a sawhorse so I can set it down and keep my engine nice and level for now. But just pretend that this black is the transom right here. Now, you can see these are in here. All I put this for is an extra stabilizer. What these are the ones that Robert Milner sent me that you can actually drill right to the transom, and you can run these from the back side to the boat side and come through these nuts right here, and the whole thing's locked into the transom. However, he sends you another set of these, which are over here. And these have a little cup on them. And all you do is you put the little cup on, and when you tighten these up, it presses the little cup against the transom. And that way you're not drilling holes through your transom, and it allows it just to come in there and lock up smooth and flush. The little cups, you can't see them, but they'll lock right up against your transom, and that way you're not having to drill a hole. Now what I'm going to try to experiment with is I'm going to put the transom, these that are designed to go through wood, I'm going to put them on the back side because the back side of my transom's wood, and I'm going to screw them and I'm going to bury them into the wood a little bit, and then I'm going to take the cup ones and bring them over on the metal side of the back side of my aluminum boat of the transom. I'm going to put the cup ones on here where they're just pushing up, and I think that it will work fine because with the cone on here, and I'll show you, with the cone on, I don't think you're going to have an issue with it hitting these little wings. But however, guess what? You're going to have some extra hold from risking losing your transom. So I'm not seeing that it's going to be an issue. So I'll probably double mine. And that will be just a double insurance that you're not going to lose your engine. Now I'm going to show you a little about the throttle. And on the throttle, I have a little makeup of it, mock-up. First thing you're going to want to do is take off your air filter and get it out of the way. That's simple enough, one wing nut. Second thing you want to do is take off your muffler shroud. So let me set this away. Set up your muffler shroud. You're going to take it off. I made this one out of aluminum. It's lighter weight. It won't take as much heat. I left the screws on because it helps dissipate heat this way. And that way you got a good aluminum one that you can put on there. I also, on an old pressure washer, the holes came out, the screws came out of the side, and it actually was melting into this, so I put a little shroud on my air breather as well, just to help deflect the heat. Now what you're going to do is simply, you're going to come down. First thing you're going to do when you go hook up your throttle, here's your handle. You got your handle on, you got your cable on, and this adjustment here, you're going to have this all the way adjusted in, because this, once you have everything hooked up, you can screw this up and it helps just tighten everything up so your throttle works a little bit better, a little bit smoother. Now as I squeeze it, you can see over here that it makes that handle work. So see, so there's your throttle, there's your gas, and then when you let up on it, that's your return spring that I put over there. It's a little bit heavier duty return spring, but it brings it back down to idle. So see how smooth that works? So again, once you get your cable on, you're going to put all your little zip ties on it and control it. Now, if you come over here, you can see where I come down, a little hard on the camera, man. You see where I come down at this elbow. So I drop the cable and come all the way down to this elbow right here. Once I reach down to this elbow, I come across to this one, this extra one where you can put the handle on either side, and I locked it into there. You can see there, I brought it around, so it's all out of the way, even with my pole, it's all out of the way. I come around and then I run it right back into my throttle. So it's right back there, and now that you got it close up, I'll squeeze it and you can see it operating. So nice and smooth. And the reason why is because I run the cable on the outside. I tried running it on the inside, but by the time you come around the end and bring it back forward, it was putting too much of a kink in it. It wasn't as smooth as it is by just running it on the outside. So now we've got everything removed here. So you can see right in there is the nut that controls that throttle. It's got to be loosened up for the hand throttle. It's way too tight because it's tight to increase your gas, but that's because it's used to being pulled by hand. So first thing you do is just come down and give that one full turn and check it, and then reach up and grab you would just check your throttle when you're all done, because you need to adjust it. But the first thing you want to do is loosen that up a little bit, and then when you go to loosen up, you might have to loosen up a little bit. It's a little bit wiggly, but I'll tell you what, it makes it a lot smoother because you have to loosen that bolt up. Okay, and then we're going to come around this side, and I'm going to show you the next part is right down inside of here is the back is a little wing, and that little wing's right there. And that little wing right there is designed to clamp down on the metal end of the cable to hold the external cable into place, and then you're going to run it from that one right there. That holds the external. You can see the little gold metal, that's external, and then you see the inner cable, and it comes through, and it comes through a little bolt that comes up underneath here, and then right through the cable goes through the hole, and then you tighten the screw down to adjust it. And that's all there is to that, and I'll show you how to do that one with hands-on, hands-free. Like I said, I set up a table over here, and I've got a mock of this. And then right here in front, what I did is I had a return spring, and if you look down into it, you see where it used to be up, and I punched it down. There's a little punch right there. I punched it down. What I did is I come along here with the hacksaw, and I cut this heat shield. I bend it up, I drilled a hole in it, and then I put a heavier return spring on, and it runs straight over to the back side of where the return spring used to be on the throttle control. So that's pretty neat. It goes from there, it hooks right on like it did the little one that came over here, but now it's a bigger one, and it's coming straight over there. So you got total control of that. Okay, one other thing I want to mention on that kill switch is I just took a piece of 10-speed inner tube, and I slip it over the kill switch and put a couple zip ties on there, and that'll help keep the water from getting behind the kill switch. So that's just a little extra thing you can do. Now, I'm going to set this in here and show you what's going on here. And I got a screwdriver right here. And what this is just a copy or prototype of what you got going on basically up on top of that engine. So this would be your black cable or your outer cable, and that would be your inner cable that pulls back and forth for the throttle control. So that would be exactly how it's set up. The first thing I'm going to have you do is come in with the screwdriver. I got a magnetic here, and you're going to remove this wing and get it completely out of your way. And this is sitting right up there on top of the engine. You just saw it. That's the little one that holds the cable. We're going to move that right on out and get it completely out of your way, because if not, when you go to run your cable, you're going to have problems. Okay, and then here, what I'll do is I'm going to disassemble this and show you what it looks like. And what it is basically it's a little piece of metal, and it'll come with the washer, and the cable wire goes through that, and then when you run the screw down, it clamps it. So what you're going to do here to get that up under there, because you're not going to be able to reach under there with your fingers. There's just no way you're going to be able to reach under there with your fingers. There's just not enough room, even though, because you got the muffler in the way and you got the breather in the way. And so all you need to do is just take yourself a piece of tape and cut the piece of tape and make a little hole in the tape. Okay, and then you're going to take this cable here and you're going to put it with the tape sticky side down, and all you're going to do is run that through just like that. Take your screwdriver and tape it to the screwdriver. Piece of cake. Now what that does, and you can leave it loose because you're going to have to take it off, so it's really good if you leave a little tab on it because you reach up with the needle nose and pull the whole tape off when you're done. Now with one hand, as you can see, now I was able to reach under there and put that, load that right up on top of that plate. And it's got the hole in it so you can run your cable through. Now to make it hands-free, I'm going to take a sponge, alright, and I'm going to stick a sponge up in there, and you'll have plenty of room, and you won't need a sponge this big. This is just a mock-up. But once you stick that sponge in there, look what it's doing. It's holding that whole screwdriver and everything right up in place. So your screwdriver's in place, and you got that thing where you can actually work on it now. Now here's your cable. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up and you're going to take your cable, which is the interior cable of the throttle, and voila, it's right there. Okay, now here's your next little feat. Is what you got to do is now you got to get this screw lowered down in between. So all you do again is you just take a strip of tape and punch a little hole in it, okay, and then load your screw on it with the sticky side down as the screw comes and sticks up, and then you put your screwdriver down there and you tape it onto the screwdriver so you don't lose it, even though I have a magnetic one, but even that I've knocked them off easily, and then you lose your whole screw. So I got it good and started. Okay, now it's biting pretty good. So you can see it's a little wobbling, but I still got a hold of it. Now I can actually come in here with the needle nose, and I could actually come in and grab hold of that tape and rip it off and pull it away, freeing it up, and all that would do is, you can see right here, or you can just push it down and get it out of the way. It doesn't matter, because the tape can be tore off later with no problem. So now, as you can see, I've got this exposed, and I've got my sponge up underneath, and it was holding it up for me so it wouldn't keep falling down. And then I have my cable all through here, and now I can come in with the needle nose and grab a hold of that and hold it, because the needle nose will be long enough, and then I can take my screwdriver and just come up here and tighten that up even better. So that's just tightening it up good enough right there. Come down just so you know it's mounted. Now the next thing you're going to do is same thing. You're going to take and grab your needle nose, and you're going to take and lower the wing down, and as you see, there's two holes. There's two holes in the top of that engine, because see that little tab? That little tab is designed to drop down just like that. And that holds it to keep it from swiveling left or right. Then you're going to come in, again you're going to use some tape, and like I say, this is magnetic, but it does tend to fall off, but look at, you're going to come right down with your tape. See, that's why I should have taped it, but let's see if I can go ahead and grab it just to speed everything up a little bit. And you're going to come straight down, mount that in there, and then line up your hole and start screwing it. Now before you do this, looky here, okay, before you do this, get your cable up underneath there, and then you'll have your whole wing sitting there. Alright, so now you see that, because if you get it all messed up like I just about did, then that would have been an issue. Okay, so we're going to go down there now, and we're going to get it in place, and we're going to start tightening up. Make sure that stays in that hole, and just come down, and what you do is come down, and you can maneuver around, because remember, your hands aren't there. See, your hands free. I'm just holding this thing stable. You wouldn't have to on the engine, because it'd be really super tight. Okay, that's good and tight, and now that right there, you can see that moving. So now the next thing you're going to do is you need that handle, that throttle handle, all the way open. So this, pretend that this is your throttle handle. There you squeeze it and it gets your throttle. You need that all the way open. So since it's connected up there right now, the cable at the throttle handle, you're going to come and simply grab a hold of your remaining interior cable, get a good hold on it, and give it a pull, and pull it as tight as you can, like I just did. Pull it nice and tight, and that pull causes the handle open. Then just drop down with your screwdriver, get a hold of that, and it won't be flopping around like that. You'll have a washer. If it does, you got that good and tight, you can always go underneath and grab a hold of it, and you're just going to tighten that right on up and bite it. So once you got it good and tight and bit, you're done. You've got your cable all set up, and my foam just slipped out, but when you shove it under, you see how well it holds it in place. It holds it up so it's not falling out, and your hands are free to do this work. So that'll definitely speed everything up. So you just go in there and tighten it up. Then you can come in later on with the vice grips and just rip your tape off, and you're done with your throttle. So when you're all done, now you watch when I pull that out, that can drop, but once the washer's in and the wire, see, it doesn't allow it to drop anymore. So that is just a little hands-on secret to help you hold it in place. And then of course putting the tape on and locking your screw, that one didn't work real good. I should use a little bit more tape, but the point is you can just drop right down on the top. Same here, you drop right down and hold your screw and you won't lose it. And then you got your cable underneath there and everything's good and tight. And then see, that would be really nice and tight. And then when you pull on the throttle, it causes the whole trigger to move, and that would speed up your throttle and increase your gas. And then you remember the return spring, how I cut the little plate and bent it up and drilled a hole in it and added the wire to it. Now I got a stronger return, so you get it drops back and the throttle lowers and throttles real quick and goes to an idle. So that's that. Now, next thing I want to show you is, because you've already got basically everything we've done right now, it showed you how to completely mount and assemble the engine. Remember, your bolts are sticking up, so this is all good to go. So let's go ahead and work on getting the shaft ready to go. Now, Robert even shows you in his PK about how these separate and everything. So I'm just going to show you, and I got that a little tight. So what I'm going to do is just simply come in here and get a hold of it right there, and look, it's got a place where we can get a hold of it right here, and I'll pop it free. So you want to tighten that up, but now I got that loose, and the reason why is I'm going to show you what's going on. This is where the shaft goes into the end of the where it hooks up to marry the shaft together, and that just goes right on like that, and that would marry it. And then there's a little hole here, and there's a bolt on the cone that would go in there and just help stabilize this a little bit, is all it's designed to do. Okay, so what we're going to do is show you right here. See that black nut right there? That black nut would be this black nut, and there's a keyway in here on the shaft. You set that down in the keyway, and then all you got to do is take this guy right here, see the keyway, and you would slide it right over the shaft and right over the keyway. And then I just took a little rubber hammer and pounded it on as far as I could. Got it on good and tight, as you can see. Then I went in here and I put my bolt in, which goes in the end of the shaft right there. I tightened it up, and then I brought it up to between 55 and 65 pounds pressure, loaded that thing right there, and bam, but pulled it up nice and tight. If you need to hang on to it, you can put a wrench on right here, or better yet, you can put a wrench on right here. And the reason why, because that's the way you're going, and see, you're rested up against your frame, and that allows you to snug it up and get it good and tight. So let me pull that up real tight. There you go, see? And you can see where I got 65 on there already. Believe me, it's had 65 on it, so it's ready to go. Now, the next thing is, you got that good and tight, and then you're simply going to put this on. And I'm not using any thread lock on this, because the way this engine turns, it's going to keep that bolt tight, and it's going to keep the shaft, everything's not going to be, it's spinning this way, so see, it keeps everything tight. So that's really not a necessity. And then you just come up here, make sure, get that one on a little bit, there, it's on there. And then you come up here and grab this little guy right here, get a hold of it, and like you saw before, I had a nice, just bring it up and give it a good, come around, just there it comes right now, start tightening up good. So we're just going to keep working it around. There, start loosening up a little bit. There it is right here, and we're going to come up and snug it. So that was a good snug. That's plenty tight. You do not have to have this real tight, because of the fact that there you go, it's good and self-tightening already. So basically that's that. Then your cone, you're going to fill that up with a third grease. Slap a third grease in there. Zerk up. Slide it on, lock it in place. And it'll come right in there. Turn it a little bit. Alright. Then you put your bolts in. And you'll put 4 bolts in. But just to speed it up, because I just want to explain something to you real quick. As you snag this, pull this all up. Is once you have your 4 bolts in, I just want to show you the pattern. And then you can look in, I'm not sure what the bolt tightening is, but basically you're going to tighten, start, you're going to crisscross every time. It's so important for you to crisscross. So bring them all up to snug with your hand, bring them all up to snug with your socket, and then once you crisscross, then on your final you're still going to crisscross, and then you just give that a good tight, then that one a good tight, and then that one a good tight, and then that one a good tight, and then you can add a little bit more grease in the top. Now I'm not putting this all together right now, you know, because like I said, I'm just giving you, I would have needed to put some lock thread on here for you before I snugged everything up. So I didn't want to do that yet. And then the next PK, all you got to do is loosen these up right here. Slide your shaft in. You'll feel it slip into the spline. Take this, there's a little bolt right here that you tighten up. As you tighten that up, that goes right into this little area right here to keep, there you go. And then as you tighten that bolt up, it goes into this hole once that's slid in, and that keeps the outer side stable. So that's all you do. It just slides right into there, and then you're done. And then you just take a wrench and tighten these two bolts up, and that comes up and bites on the whole outer shaft. So you got this holding it, and you got this tightened up holding the whole shaft, and you're done. You add your grease there, and voila, your engine is ready to go. You have just totally put it together. So about as fast as I give this whole PK is, you know, except for tightening bolts, is about how fast you can put this together without having to read your directions. Just skim through those. Make sure you got everything. Everything here is pretty much correct how to do it. The easy way to do it on hand. And I just want to thank Robert Milner because he sent me all this stuff, you know, and gave me a good deal on the gear reduction. And I was able to share with you guys and help you save time. Now, there's one other thing I want to show you. And right here, this is the gear reduction that would go on here instead. So this is the gear reduction I was telling you about. It's the mule. It's the one that's designed to get 2,800 pounds thrust, 2,800 pounds you can carry on it if your boat's got that capacity. But in Thailand, they're not too worried about that. They just get crazy and they get her done. So that would go on there and tighten up, and then right here like so, and then right here is where your oil fills, and he sends a quart of oil. So you can put that oil in, fill that up, and that's your gear reduction right there. And you're done. And then again, on the end here, the shaft of the bigger shaft that you'd be getting if you bought this unit, it slides in right there, and then this tightens up and holds it all into place. And that would be your gear reduction. And this would be for hauling heavy weight. It turns your boat into a tugboat is what it does. It gives it the ability to push heavier weight instead of that high speed that you would have on a regular John boat. And like I say, I set this whole thing up, and I purposely already know that it's my boat's a little heavy for it. But I can always get a lighter boat and just simply take this and put it on the lighter boat and be able to use it that way and use my other outboard for my other boat. I was thinking about actually maybe selling this and using the money to get the outboard running. But I just hate to give this up because this will take you places where, you know, only airboats can go. So that's the end of my PK. I want to thank Robert Milner and you all out there in YouTube land. I hope this helps you guys out and speeds everything up so you can get out there on the water. Tight lines. Thank you.